Welcome back to Harvey's Garage. I'm not Harvey. So we're back to working on Mini Cooper. It's a 2009 Mini Cooper with a turbo. So it has been just eating oil. So somewhere between a quart every like 6 and 800 miles. So watched a thing where you get Berryman and you put it down in the cylinders. I'll attach some videos of the different cylinders and what they look like right here. Far left, third from the right, second from the right, far right. So this next part is filmed in the future. Highly recommend before you guys start this process, you make sure you have good spark plugs, good ignition coils, you have your oil filter, everything you need to do this job on hand. I will put all the contents in the description, but have everything ready and I'll explain later in the video why that's important. So that's what the cylinders look like on the inside with the bore scope. So what we did was we used this Berryman B12 and we dumped it down in our cylinders, and I did that yesterday. So this has been setting for it's been a day. The middle two cylinders dried up, so we refilled them. I actually went through a whole can of this stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spray stuff, I'm going to agitate the stuff in each cylinder, and then I'm going to take this little doodad that's supposed to be for bleeding brakes but kind of sucks at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pump out the stuff in there into there. There we go. Utilizing the safety squint while we do that. Let's feed this. Might need both hands for this. Alright, so now we're gonna suck this out. Use our little pressure thing here, and I remember to turn on my light, so it should be a little brighter. Let's see what we get. Oh, it's pretty. It's a nice color. Awesome. Let's see. All right, that is what we, let's see here. Oh. Well, let me pause it again. All right, so this is what came out of the cylinder. Oh, it just looks delicious. All right, so I found a pan that I can dump this out in, and really, there's some chunkies in there. Some chunkies in there too. I don't know how much it actually cleaned out of the cylinder. Let's take a look. So I don't remember if you, it's kind of hard to see, you know, recording a camera and all, but It's either really sludgy and gross, or it got a lot cleaner, I guess. We'll have to see. Let me turn down my brightness here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them and then give you a look just to give you an idea. Those were the spark plugs. That far right one was by far the most oily, shitty one of them all. So I'm going to do the rest and then I'll share anything interesting. Alright, so this ended up working out pretty well. So I'm going to try and record all the different steps. So as stated, we put the chem tool in. So now we're going to take our agitate it that way. Take our hose. Alright, feed it in. I've got it hooked up to the little hand compressor. Alright, let me disconnect our hand compressor. Hook up our hand pump. Alright, let's Alright, and let me get stuff set up and I'll show you what came out. Okay, so here we go. I've got the contents and I cleaned out the pan, so that one wasn't as bad as the other ones. There's still a little bit of junk in there. Well, let's scope it and see. Alright, the scope's in. I don't really know how to make this in real life. I can actually see a little bit better. It looks cleaner. Again, I can't tell if it's just all the crap is wet or a bunch of the crap is gone. So we'll have to run it and then scope it and see what it looks like afterwards. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video, and I'll make a part 2 to kind of show what happens afterwards when I get some time. But because some of the cleaner might have seeped past the rings, I'm going to go ahead and do an oil change, make sure it's topped off, make sure the levels are good, and then that way I can do kind of an accurate reading of if this actually worked or it didn't. And if you guys want to know any of the stuff that I used, I mean, it's just a Ryobi air pump, Harbor Freight brake bleeder vacuum pump kit, and my Ryobi inspection scope. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to it. And leave a comment if you have any questions or if you like the video, and hopefully I can get part 2 out to you guys soon. Back to the future again. So I'm not going to make a part 2. I'm just going to go all the way through. So this project ended up giving me half a heart attack, and that's why I put the warning in the beginning that have everything on hand. So what ended up happening was I had a screwed up spark plug, I had a broken ignition coil. I ordered some. I was doing the last video and I didn't have the spark plugs and ignition coils. They were supposed to come the next day. So what I ended up doing was changing the oil. I kind of cranked it without the spark plugs in there to blow all the extra crap out. And then I shut it down for the night. Went to work the next day, came back home. I got my spark plugs. Let's put the spark plugs in, put the ignition coils in, and I started cranking and it would not start. So I spent the next day and a half troubleshooting whether it was the fuel system, whether it was the ignition system. I had gas, I had spark. So I borrowed a compression tester and I went through and I had, let's see, I wrote it down over here. So those were the compression numbers for my cylinders. And that last one, that right hand one, which you'll remember it had a bunch of oil and stuff in it, it was horrible. And I put oil in it and it went up by about 40 psi. And I was really starting to stress over the whole thing. So once I put the oil in it, I got the 40 psi, I put all the spark plugs back in. I sprayed some contact cleaner, or not contact cleaner, some engine starter in the intake, cranked it up, and it didn't want to start, but it caught, and it was running rough, and finally it caught. It started blowing a bunch of crap out the back of the car, and now everything is fine. The car drives great, everything's fine. What I think happened was some of the junk got loosened up and thrown into the exhaust valve, and it wasn't sealing. And it dried up there because I waited a full day, so the junk stayed, all the solvent evaporated. So recommend you have everything on hand so you can do this all in one whack, as opposed to doing what I did and getting to the point where I was looking for a new motor for this car because I didn't know what was wrong with it. Anyway, so we did the cleaning, drove it for about 60 miles, and I wanted to show you guys the results. And actually, of course, I'm starting in the wrong one. Let's go. All right, so the number one cylinder all the way to the left, and look how clean it is in there. Go to the next one. Harder to do with one hand than you think. But like almost all that junk that was in there is now blown out of the cylinders. Got nice clean piston head, and then makes me even happier. We go in here. This one's nice and clean. Car's been sitting for about a day since I drove it, and it is dry. And of course that just shut off on me. But I am gonna go ahead and call this a success for now. I will, now that I'm thinking about it, have a part 2 of the video. It'll be a short part of the video where I'm just gonna let you guys know whether or not it actually cleared my 1 quart every 600 to 800 miles. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But thanks for watching. Again, read the description. I'll put some notes in there. I'll try and put a couple of my tools in there, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the comments. If you found this video helpful or even slightly entertaining, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and hopefully it won't be too long till I have my answer of whether or not this actually helped. All right, thank you for watching another Harvey's Garage production.